I want to bring in Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell. He's on the House Intelligence Committee. He was in last week's briefing. Multiple news outlets, including NBC, have reported on this. Intelligence officials warn that Russian efforts to interfere in the 2020 election to help President Trump. And I also want to make a note, Congressman Swalwell, you agreed to come on. We asked every single Republican member of the House Intelligence Committee to appear in front of a camera. They would not do that now, and we're waiting to see what the answer will be for this weekend. But, Congressman, tell me now what we've seen in the public record. How much can you confirm?
Good afternoon, Chuck. What I can tell you is that our committee has had an ongoing interest in having elections that are free from interference. This was not a one-off hearing that we had last week. We continue to conduct oversight to make sure that the Russians or no one else are interfering. But two, the big concern here is that it looks like we have a president who continues to not condemn Russia, who is moving people out of the way of the intelligence community who do go to Congress and raise any issues with regard to Russia. And three, he is essentially benefiting if he is trying to not condemn Russia and put people in place who won't condemn Russia. That ultimately benefits the president. And is it too much to ask that a president would stand up to them once and for all?
How much evidence were you presented, or was this an intelligence official giving you a summary of their conclusions?
Yeah, I can't go into anything about that briefing other than to say that we have had an ongoing interest in understanding what Russia's doing. And I asked Director Wray just 2 weeks ago when he came before the House Judiciary Committee if Russia's interfering in our elections, and he said that they are, that they're still continuing to do that. And so it's just pretty damn concerning that the president is punishing people because he perceives them as being truthful to Congress.
How much of this interference campaign is social media driven, and is there more to it than just that?
I wish I could say more about that, Chuck. But what I will say, what's interesting about what you just played with Senator Sanders, and all due respect, he's running a hell of a campaign. He's racking up delegates right now. But think about what's happening. If Donald Trump perceives that Senator Sanders is his best general election opponent, and the Russians, according to what Sanders just said, are attempting to help Senator Sanders, that means that the president and the Russians are aligned in who they want the president's opponent to be upcoming in the fall. And so there's a lot of questions for the president as to what does he know about the Russians' intent, whether it's from our own intelligence officials or from the Russians, about what they're trying to do to get him a general election opponent that he believes would be best served for a victory for him.
Do you know if the social media companies that the Russians regularly abuse have been briefed that their systems are being abused by the Russians again?
Well, I can't go into that, but what I can tell you is that we have passed on the House side a duty to report requirement that would require people who see evidence of interference on social media platforms to come forward to the FBI. That needs to get a vote in the Senate, and that's a big problem here because we ran in 2018. Part of our agenda was to make sure that our elections would be free from interference. We've done our work on the House side. We passed the For the People Act. We've passed election security reforms. We're not seeing any interest from Mitch McConnell to pick that up in the Senate.
Would you say that all of your colleagues on both sides of the aisle accepted the conclusions of the Intelligence Committee?
I don't want to speak to what they said in that briefing, but what I would like to see, and you pointed out we have not seen that, our colleagues coming forward condemning any effort by Russia to interfere in our elections. And again, it's a shame that we can't be united because unity is the best antidote to what they want to do again.
Let me ask this. There seems to be skepticism from quite a few corners in Capitol Hill that the intelligence community is on the up and up on this. Is there any evidence that they would be making this up?
We have no evidence that the Intelligence Committee has been anything but truthful for us in any briefing that they've provided to us in the last few months. You know, there were questions certainly about the Soleimani efforts, but we've never believed that they've come forward intentionally trying to mislead us. And, you know, I've heard suggestions from Republicans that that's the case, and there's just no evidence to support that.
Is there much that can be done if the president is sort of putting a heavy umbrella over the intelligence community and what they can share with you?
Yes, a hell of a lot more than what we could have done in 2018 when we did not have the majority. Now we have subpoenas. Of course, they have to honor those. We have oversight ability. We have the power of the purse to authorize and fund their budgets. And we're going to use all of that leverage that we have because people want to go to the ballot box and know that they, not Vladimir Putin, are deciding the outcome.
Have you gotten to chairmanship? Are we going to have a hearing on this now?
I spoke with our intelligence staff yesterday and today, and they've assured me that we're going to do all we can to protect the integrity of the elections. And again, this isn't going to be a one-off, Chuck. This is something we've been doing since we took the majority, and we're going to continue to investigate this, especially now looking at the president bringing in someone completely unqualified to be the acting director of national intelligence. Again, it looks like he's bringing people in to protect him, not to protect us.
Again, you say you're going to do everything. What does that mean? Are we going to have a public hearing on this sooner rather than later?
I'll let the chairman address that, but I do know our staff, they're working through the weekend to make sure that our elections are free from Russian interference.
Through the weekend. So this is a very imminent thing.
They don't
you guys
stop
plan
working because the president doesn't stop cheating.
Okay. There's a saying there. Congressman Eric Swalwell, Democrat from California, member of the Intelligence Committee. Thanks for coming on and sharing your views on this. I appreciate it.